Welcome to Authentic Living with Roxanne, a place where we have conscious conversations about things that really matter in our lives. And now here's your host, Roxanne Derhaj.
Our interview last week was so good that we decided to turn it into a two-part series. If you missed last week, you'll find the link in the show notes. It's not mandatory that you listen, but we want to make sure that you don't miss out on this amazing conversation.
Hi, everyone. It's Roxanne Derhaj. Nice for you to be here with us again today. I'm with a colleague and a friend, Dr. Loubna Noureddin of Mind Market. She is the co-founder and CEO of Mind Market. Loubna has been doing some special work out there in the world of organizational consultancy. So Loubna, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely. It is my delight and pleasure to be with you, Roxanne.
Because, I mean, we're already hearing so much about quiet quitting. I don't think it's going to be so quiet if people all of a sudden are being told they have to come back to work. So I think in the first quarter of 2023, it will be interesting to see, like you said, in reference to needs and wants, and overall kind of, goals for the company, and trying to find the balance. Like some environments, to your point, some employees want to go back to work. They're recognizing that they're better, they're more productive, they need the connection, and others are better, like you said, based on the stage and age of where they are and at in their lives. It may be that the hybrid model works, and others just would prefer to be virtual. It's up to the senior leadership team and the CEO, like you're saying, to make those decisions. But there's a bit of pressure now that people are saying, most companies are saying that people need to get back to work. And so I think that will be interesting to see how that shakes out, because is it that people are going to, like the Elon Musks of the world that we've been seeing on Twitter, where he's telling people to go back, and the press that he's getting, hopefully people are recognizing some of the things that you're saying, which is, you may have, a multi-million-dollar investment that you need to protect. But if you're not thinking about, the cross section of what's in front of you, percentage wise, in reference to needs and wants of your diverse population, then what, right? The investment or the return or the loss may be that much more dramatic long term, if you're not kind of looking at what's really in front of you.
Absolutely, Roxanne, and holding the conversation, having the space, making the space for these conversations to happen. It's a time-consuming support system. However, it's so important because then you understand your own team and your unique needs for this organization. I think a balance might be a great recipe for some. It's not necessarily the best thing for all. However, holding open conversations with staff, allowing people to identify and feel the loss, let them express the loss of whatever they had, the habits they are used to. And to your point, it's important to have to go back to the office and to have these relationships happen. It is not important across the board. Some people thrive in being alone, and some people thrive in being in groups. And how can we create the balance for both? It's not an easy situation. However, it is easily recognizable by having conversations with your teams, understanding their needs, their wants, and their limitations and their fears. Some of my fears may not be valid to you, but at least understanding them and holding that space will help you shift forward with decisions that make sense for all.
It's interesting as I listen to you and you talk about with change, what's left behind is the most important thing to be addressed, right? And if you think about, with COVID, and still we have this lingering into 2023 about uncertainty, the economic environment. So some people that may not want to go back are thinking, geez, I better get back there because, I'm worried about the fact that the economy is not so good, all those things. But, I think about when I was in consulting and we would make changes, within 72 hours, it was a trauma response model we would use where we would have people on site. So let's say, myself as the executive would know that there was a layoff coming, and then we would be available. And it was so valuable, Loubna, and because within 24 hours, we were on the environment. We deployed teams to go in. And all they'd make these announcements, the companies that were in the know, I should say, not all of them. And we would have people just tell them about, the basics, how you're thinking, how you're feeling, how you're experiencing your body is normal and natural, because, you just kind of been sideswiped here and now you no longer have a job, kind of thing. But it's that tending that really, and then of course, along with that, there would be outplacement services and such, those types of things. But that was very, very valuable because I could see, because people were being cared for, right? They were no longer with the company, but at least you're saying to them, we understand. And I think you're also, if you're letting people kind of go, you're also, these are people that have worked for you for a very long time. They are also ambassadors to that change. Whether they want to be gone or not, they're going out there in the world, and they may go on to other companies, and they are the ones that are going to talk about that experience of how they were treated even at the end.
No, and many companies, Roxanne, are paying the price of exactly that. This new generation have seen their parents laid off after years and years and years of unwavering commitment to their companies. They've seen the lack of loyalty from the employer to the employee, and now they have zero loyalty. Mm-hmm. They do not, it doesn't mean that they don't care. They care, absolutely care, but they've seen how disappointing the experiences of their parents have been, and now they want to change that. They're looking out for what is best for them, what is quality work, what is a work-life balance, and they will not stop until they find that quality life that they're seeking. Not because they're not loyal, but because they have learned by observing the experiences of their parents that taking care of me first matters. They've seen the disappointment, they've seen the pain, and they've seen the loss. There's many layoffs that have happened where the employee is 50 or above and still could not find a job and had to go to lesser work because of ageism and sexism and all kinds of isms that are out there. Right? But this new kid on the block will refuse to be set by your ways and would rather find their way and their quality of life. So how do we make that possible and gauge and validate those people that are great talent out there? Because they're not believing in loyalty anymore. And we did this to them.
And I mean, and most of us in our generation, we just kind of stayed. Like, I mean, I in my corporate, one of my corporate experiences, I was severed. And it's interesting, right? I worked for this company.
Absolutely.
And at the time, talking about it from the personal experience end, Loubna, I had loved this company at the time that I was with them. Enjoyed it profusely, but at the end I was at the point where I wanted to get out, but it was busyness and young family, those types of things. And there was finally another act. This was a out and out acquisition, and the value alignments of the company that I belonged to didn't fit. So, within 2 years, this best 72% of the acquired company, the employees are gone. And I was at the top, one of the top levels. So I was one of the first at the top to go.
Of course, the lucky one.
I remember that experience, and I can tell you that story like it's yesterday. Because,
Absolutely.
I remembered
yes.
it. And I'm like, I remember, walking towards the, office, all glass. I thought it was a performance evaluation. And then, being told, that, there's been a decision, blah, 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 whatever, I can't
Yes.
remember the words. And the corporate person, the executive understood, but the person, Roxanne, went, what? What's happening here? Then you don't have a laptop, you don't have a cell phone, you don't, all
You're
those things.
gone.
That
You're a
personality that
number.
walked into the corporate left, and I didn't have a cell phone, and I'll never forget it. And I thought, well, how am I going to call anybody? Because all I'd had was a corporate cell phone, and that's just bringing it down to the basics. And I remember stopping at a friend so I could use the phone, because then in fact I had to go out and get another cell phone. So I thought that is so fitting based on what you're saying. It's whatever is left, and I'm going to use the word shrapnel associated with change, and how you treat people based on change management. And I can still remember, and I will probably remember it for the rest of my days, how I felt at that time was very, very key, as and we're talking a long time ago now, but the person, tending to the internal space of that person is so very key.
And going back to that, Roxanne, I can assure you that I know of a doctoral student who just graduated and did have whole research on how much of emotional intelligence is being taught in change management programs. And it's very small. So her study is very interesting because she compared the EI levels of change management professionals, and we're talking over 100 professionals, with other professionals. So, and the EI was no different. And that relationship building, that trust, that influencing are critical indicators during change. So I think the change management organization is actually working with the International Coaching Federation and other protocols to create more of that human side of the business. And I think that it's important to bring it back to the human, because I can assure you, I talk in my speech, in my keynote, about superficial compliance. Mm-hmm. And superficial compliance can look good on the outside, but it's really detrimental to the organization on the long run, because we resist superficial compliance, and resistance comes in three ways. People escape, they quit, get out, get me out of here. People start to fight. So it's a fight mode, compete against each other, not working as a team, and creating these silos and control hoarders of information, like people that hoard information. All these are signs of superficial compliance. And the third one is they quietly resign. In this case, they're in the company, they're masking their resistance behind masks of a smile and acceptance, and yet they've already quit mentally way before they quit physically. Superficial compliance is a dangerous result of throwing change after change after change with no regard to the human side of the business.
Now, on a positive note, with all of these things we're talking about, for any senior leaders or CEOs listening, and they're thinking, I'm in the deep end of the pool and I'm not really sure I have a life raft. What are some of the simple things that they should start thinking about or doing now? Because we still have time potentially for, before we start into the new year, based on some plans that they may have for people to return to work.
We have amazing CEOs out there that are doing the right things, all the right things, right? And for one that I heard from CEO of Microsoft, which incredibly resonated with me, I heard him speak to an interview on Harvard Business on LinkedIn. It was live on LinkedIn, and he said, empathy. Empathy is a core competency that he looks for in leadership, in future leadership. So whenever he's hiring or whenever he is promoting, empathy is one aspect of leadership that he looks for. To me, that is the most positive news I could hear from a CEO that is a model for many CEOs out there. Empathy is one way to start. Meet them where they are, understand where they are, and then help them shift for where you see the future is. So listening, communicating, understanding the other person's perspective, keeping a curious mindset. These are simple ways we can overcome these challenges we see and become more intentional in our approach to change. Most importantly, I think it is a responsibility of every executive in the organization to make a clear commitment to elevate and eliminate toxic behaviors in the organization. The organization may have the best culture in the world, and you have one subculture that is toxic, that could be consuming time and energy from everyone else, and making that commitment to stop these type of behaviors is really critical. So empathy, listening, communicating effectively, and understanding where the people are. So coming from a curious mindset, curiosity brings, takes away all the regards of judgment and bias. Just be curious more and making a commitment to truly elevate the culture. And we elevate it by eliminating toxic behaviors and toxic leaders that may be your best leader, right? And we can still use their expertise, we can still use their intellect, but have them in places where they're more effective without leading people. Not everyone is meant to lead people. Our most amazing brains in the world are not the best leaders. So have them use their intelligence, use their tact, use their knowledge in the right place, and have someone else lead the people side. So I think we have a lot of examples out there, Roxanne, of great models for change. Great models for change.
Well, that's an amazing list of things, and really, simple qualities. And I mean, I would say that you're right. We do have a lot of amazing CEOs out there that embody some of the qualities that you're talking about. And,
Yes, absolutely.
empathy, is such a basic thing, but, just being kind with people around you. Like you said, if you don't know, ask. It's, I'm curious why, or how come you're having this response, and not being complicit to toxicity, right? And unfortunately, I think with my interviews with a lot of people in management, they've seen companies move toxic leaders to different, there's 8 hospitals, will move them around to kind of, hide the problem. And then in turn, what does that do? That just, cross-pollinates the toxicity. And then in turn, that ruminates at the core fundamental base of trust. And then, you got a huge problem on your hands.
Oh,
So,
yes.
So,
And that's where coaching, Roxanne, comes into place, right?
Yes, for sure. And
having a confident person, a place of confidence for you to have conversations at a high level with someone that is not in your organization. This is what the gift of executive coaching, right? That's when you become the voice.
Right. And this is something that Loubna does with companies across, the US, Canada, and internationally. So Loubna, tell us a little bit about some of the things with these CEOs that are maybe looking and wanting direction. What are some things that they should consider when, looking at executive coaching? And I know we're almost at time, but what are some of the core fundamentals that people actually need to know, so that if they are engaging and thinking, wow, we need to do some things, we need to get some, basic EI or, emotional intelligence, but we're not sure where to go. What are some of the competencies they should be looking in executive coaching to kind of start that initial step?
I think, my recommendation in general that I give to the CEOs that I work with, and to the ones that have not yet worked with, is find the person in your life that's going to hold engaging conversations with you, that provides thought leadership conversation with you, and that challenges you to do what is the best for the organizations. being a CEO or an executive at that level is lonely. It really is lonely. And you cannot share or talk or discuss possibilities that could be threatening to others within the realm of your organization. Find those people outside your organization, whether it's an executive coach or a mentor or an advisor or a CEO that is at a different organization, have some kind of a group council, CEO council forum, have those engage in conversations on a weekly basis. This is not something that is nice to have. This is really important for your growth as a CEO. It is of absolute importance, Roxanne, because the conversations you have allow you to listen to your own voice and allow you to make decisions based on new insights. There's no time for you to do this alone, and there's no time to do it within your groups because there's stuff happening. You need the time and the space for you to think, reflect, and consider options. And science and neuroscience is informing us that hearing your own voice and thoughts is your best segue to solutions. So the neuroscience, the journals are telling us that. They're informing us about this, Roxanne.
Well, as usual, Loubna, my friend and colleague, this is an amazing conversation. And for anyone, wanting to reach out or to consult or learn more about Mind Market, where can they get a hold of you, Loubna?
So mindmarket.org is the website, and it's Loubna at mindmarket.org. More than happy to talk to you, or chat with Loubna.com is another option. Chat with Loubna.com. Have a wonderful afternoon, Roxanne. Such a pleasure to see you, and I'm sure we'll meet again.
I'm sure we will. So for everyone listening, what am I walking away with? I guess, I call these the ROR moments in my interviews, which is the return on relationship, which is my new book. And my one takeaway is, when you are going through change, think of the legacy of what you're doing to the people in the organization. Think of their emotions, think of their space, and think about what they're experiencing as a legacy as you make that change. And if anyone's wanting to know more about their relationships, either at home or at work, what you can do is reach out to roxannederhodge.com/quiz. There's a really, really quick quiz you take either at home or at work, and we'll pop you back off some results on that mini quiz with some recommendations. Again, Loubna, thanks so much. And for everyone, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I enjoy having these conversations. And I learn a lot every single day with every expert that I bring on. Take care, Loubna. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Authentic Living with Roxanne, creating the space for positive, healthy change. Roxanne is a keynote speaker, psychotherapist, and coach. To work with Roxanne, visit roxannederhodge.com/blueprint. We'll see you next time on Authentic Living with Roxanne.